Welcome to Talk of the Town. I am Lisa Dascoli, and with me is my co-host Annie Weiss.
Hi, Lisa. How you doing?
Very good. I forgot to say the latest in talk, music, and entertainment.
Yes.
But everybody knows that. Lot going on in this show, and I think this is going to be a wonderful show because we've been having such a great time just at the table, laughing and chatting amongst ourselves.
Coffee talk.
Coffee talk, yes. Well, first and foremost, I want to introduce the fact that a very dear friend to our show, we have finally gotten the big, bright idea to give him his space at the microphone, which he so greatly deserves. One of the... Well, I'll start with one of the nicest people that anyone could ever meet, but also one of the most intelligent and talented people that anyone could want to meet. Richard Skipper is now going to have his own segment with entertainment news.
This is a big day. Raven Simone was announced today on The View as the new
I
regular.
I didn't know
She's
that.
the new regular, and now this is with me, so I'm
It
just
was
a step
meant
away
to
from The View. No, this is great.
This is fabulous. We are sort of like the
The
View.
We're
View
halfway
in Nutley.
there. Yeah,
Here we
the
are.
view.
Here we
And
are.
it is a beautiful view.
Yes, it is. And just so you know, if anybody listening, we are always, you can always download any of these past shows at broadbandboxoffice.com, Talk of the Town. And please leave us your comments. We love to hear what you're thinking about our show. But before we go any further, just real quick, Annie. So what's been going on with Betty?
Betty's doing great, so she's winding down.
What does
My
that
mom's a teacher in Patterson, high school
So
teacher.
you know what? And so is our guest this
yes,
evening.
Yes, and so she's very much looking forward to summer vacation. But I just know that all she's going to do is yell and clean the house. So it's a vacation for her, but not so much for me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But no, she's good. And actually, I'm dating someone, which is kind of exciting.
This is nice to
Yeah,
know.
he's like normal. It's so weird. And he met Betty on Saturday.
Now that's a big step.
Yeah, huge. I was like, "Are you okay?" Like, he was like, "Oh yeah, because we're gonna go to a comedy show up the street from me. It's like 20 minutes from me." And he was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna come pick you up, and I'll meet your mom." And I was like, "Are you sure you want to do that? Because she's a little scary."
Yeah.
Like, I'll just tell her to have one glass of wine instead of 3. Like, let me know what time you're getting over. She'll need time to put on her face. And they headed off, and she really likes him. And now they're best friends, and they don't want anything to do with me.
So are they ditching you and going places without you? Is that what it is?
Well, we were going to be late for the show, and I was like, come on, we got to go to the guy that I'm seeing. And I was like, come on, we're going to be late. He goes, well, I'm talking to Betty, and I'm not done with my wine yet. And I was like, oh, okay, got it.
And the day you walk in and find them both sitting there watching Jeopardy,
Oh, forget it.
That's the day
He's
it's
lost.
over, man.
He's
He's
lost.
lost.
Is Betty a cougar?
No, no.
Good thing to think about.
No, Betty has a partner. Betty has a
Okay.
life partner named Michael.
Okay.
He's shy and quiet and doesn't really like to be talked about. So I respect that. But they've been together
What's his last name?
His first name is...
almost said it.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
It's that Michael. Sorry, go ahead.
They've been together for 12 years, and they got iPhones the other day, and they were sitting on the couch together. And what buttons do we push? Where do you press it? How do I get on my face? What do I do?
The My Face?
Yeah, the my face.
Please tell me.
With their reading glasses. It was the cutest thing. They're like just two little old people.
Yes, but they have iPhones.
Yeah, and they don't know how to use them.
That is true.
So anyway, the guy that I'm seeing and Betty are now best friends.
Well, again,
And I feel a little left out.
I can understand that. I'm still in...
But it's good because she doesn't like any guy I bring home. This is like the first guy.
This is good.
I was telling Richard before, this is the first guy that Betty actually likes. So who knows?
Yes.
She
You
doesn't
may
like,
want to go back to the way it was.
she doesn't like anybody, so it's kind of exciting.
Well,
It's funny.
and notice how I always very sternly do not talk about my absence of a private life, but that's besides the point. But I will plug the show that I'm directing. So I'm going to be directing Spam-A-Lot at the Hackensack Cultural Arts Center, and that'll be going up in August. So I sat back and I just laughed and I said, well, this really isn't such a bad thing. I have a bunch of men who are going to be dressed up as kings and knights, and I'm telling them what to do.
It's
so
the perfect
this is,
scenario.
It
Who
really
needs
is.
a boyfriend when you're directing a play? You know
You know
what I
what?
mean?
You really don't even know how true that is.
Well, you're lucky if you can find a boyfriend when you're directing a play.
Yeah, that's true.
True that.
That's
Yeah,
true.
we won't go
They're
there.
all matched up with
each other.
with each
With
other.
each other.
So anyway,
All the good ones.
as promised, Richard, thank you so much for being part of our show. You've always been support of this show. You've always been, I feel, one of the backbones of the show.
Yes.
But now we've finally gotten we're doing the right thing and giving you the microphone. And tell us.
Is the pay the same?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
You get a bonus in cookies.
Oh, that's what. Well, I'll take it. I'll take it.
So what's going on in entertainment news?
Well, a lot's been going on. This is a big week because the Tony Awards just happened. We can all talk about the Tony Awards. But one of the things that has really been controversial this year, and this has been happening more and more over the past few years, is number one, the Lifetime Achievement Award. This year it was given to Tommy Tune, who is a 9-time Tony Award winner.
God bless.
Getting the Lifetime Achievement Award, he now has 10 Tony Awards. Which is
that the record?
It is an absolute record.
Wow.
Yeah.
He also is the only performer, or the only person, I should say, who has received 2 awards in 2 separate categories 2 years in a row for both choreographer and as an actor.
Right.
So that's
Me and
never
my girl.
happened before. And so when I first found out that Tommy was going to be getting the Lifetime Achievement Award, but the producers did not want to present it during the telecast, I began a campaign to make sure that he would receive this. There were some compromises which were really great, but not enough. And the compromises were that they asked him to be a presenter. He presented for Best Director. And they did do a very small musical montage leading up to his accepting the awards, if you saw the show. The other problem is that all of the writing awards are not given during the telecast itself. And a wonderful letter was just written to Les Moonves, who is the head of CBS, from the Dramatists Guild, saying this needs to be fixed and it needs to be addressed. And it's very interesting because I've been on this campaign for the past 5 weeks, and there have been a lot of blogs and articles and things written about this, and if nothing else, I have brought something to the forefront in terms
very
of...
much so. You started a conversation, and quite honestly, it was a conversation that needed to be had.
It's a conversation that needs to be had. It's interesting when you think about this, the Tony Awards, the producers that are producing the Tony Awards now don't trust the award show. They don't trust who their audience is. They don't trust what needs to have happen. I've always said, and those of us who are entertainers, we know this, our goal is not to entertain the people that are not there. Our goal is to entertain the ones that are there. And
Right.
you have to give those people who are going to come back to the Tony Awards year after year after year what they want.
Right.
And they want to celebrate the theater. Not only what's going on now, but what's coming to Broadway and what's happened in the past that has
Right.
led up to this point.
Right.
And it's very interesting because when I was a kid, I had a great mentor, Florence Epps, and she said every time you walk on stage, you're carrying the mantle of every great entertainer that's ever gone before you.
Totally agree.
This year, something very interesting happened. For the first time, all of the major writing awards for Best Score, Best Book, everything were women.
That's
And-
great.
You know what?
I didn't know
That's
that.
true. And I watched the telecast, and it didn't really sink into me.
It didn't sink in because it was not made a big deal of.
Thank you. That's why.
That's exactly why. And the fact is that, of course, nobody knows who's going to win an award. There's always speculation, everything. But the fact that it could happen
Right.
should have been celebrated.
Right.
And it's a shame that so many awards are given during there's a pre-show that happens from 7 to 8. And that's when they give away a lot of the technical awards. But my feeling is that the audience that's tuning into the Tony Awards are there because they love the theater. And if you put all of us, tonight your book that's coming out.
Case is also a director as well.
Well, you've invested a lot of time and energy into this book, and if the book was only presented in an underground market, that's not going to do you any good. But if it's being able to be on the shelves of bookstores and you can get it online and everything, you've got a bigger audience.
Absolutely.
And that audience does not need to be negated of people who are tuning in to the Tony Awards. And so my work is not done because unless Moonves, I want to take you to lunch at Sardi's. I want to sit down. I want to talk to you about this. If you're going to give someone an award, give them an award because they've earned the right to receive that award.
And let them have the recognition.
And get the recognition. Yeah. That's exactly right. What should be happening, and so that talks about what's been going on. I do want to let your friends know Peggy Eason, who has been on the show.
Yes, our friend Peggy,
the Chocolate Diva. She is being honored on the 23rd at the Metropolitan Room in a show called "It's Only a Number." Because Peggy's life really began as an entertainer when she turned 65. So it's being celebrated, and I'm performing that night. Okay. So please come to the Metropolitan Room.
So I do hope that anybody who listens will, take note of this and come see you, Peggy, and who else is
Dana Lorge is in the show. Ricky Ritzel is in the show, who you know.
Ricky, who was also our first guest on this show.
Yes, and
yes, he was.
And there's some wonderful entertainers that are going to be there. You can go to my website, richardskipper.com, to read my blog, which talks about the Tony controversy, and to find out other things that are going on. So, and Casey, we've got to get you into my blog.
Yes.
So we'll do that.
And without further ado, and I should have introduced you quicker, but we're off the cuff. And my friend and another just talented person. I like to surround myself with talent.
With the arts.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's a lot of talent out there, but this gentleman is so multifaceted. And Caseen Gaines has written his third book. And this one is the making of Back to the Future. We don't need roads. So, Case, thank you for coming back.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me back. I appreciate it.
Yes.
The Tony thing is, I really wanted to weigh in. I wasn't like,
Please.
No, I just think it's you see that happening more and more. And I have no idea why. I mean, Finding Neverland, why we needed a second performance from Finding Neverland, which has been nominated for 0 Tony Awards.
Well, I can answer that question before
sure,
because
please,
that space was bought.
Yeah, but it's a bizarre thing. It negates the purpose of the award show, like you were saying. And Entertainment Weekly just posted a really great article yesterday. And I think the headline was, "Why do the Tony Awards hate Tony Awards?"
Exactly.
I think that was
what you were saying.
Right.
It drives it back to your point.
It is a brilliant. You have to. Every person listening to this, go and Google this article.
It's a great article
Weekly, because the guy who wrote this, I sent him a note. It's a wonderful article talking about this very issue.
Very, very good point that you made, and now that you've reiterated, and I think that's and I mean, everybody at this table is very passionate about theater. Mm-hmm. That is a very, very big passion to all of us. And I personally feel that when it comes to the Tony Awards, when it comes to the Oscars, people get together and they sit in for hours ahead of time, and who made your dress and who cares? I mean, really. And this is, to me, the Tony Awards has always been about talent. You better bring it to the table. Mm-hmm. You better bring it to the table, and that's what the Tony Awards have always said to me. That these are caliber, the highest of caliber.
Absolutely, it's Broadway. You're doing 8 shows a week.
Yeah,
you got to be good.
You better be good. Yeah,
you better be
and
good.
not only that, but it's such an honor to be able to entertain people 8 nights a week. Yes. And why aren't we thanking these actors and actresses and producers who are putting these shows together? And not for anything, but the technical awards, which are done off camera, that's always bothered me, because you're a teacher as well, Case.
Yeah.
The kid who's learning to stage manage, is that not just as an important job?
But can I say
Definitely
something? It wasn't always that way. It's only been in recent years that this has happened.
And why are we why are we taking that away? Why not bring it back?
Dollars, ratings,
Oh, absolutely. But they're just as important,
I wish I had a friend of mine who was he was actually a scenic painter for Broadway, older gentleman, and very, very talented man. And he would tell me stories because he would paint all of the drops for the Met, and the talent, the mind-boggling talent that went into that. Why isn't this man, getting the same attention?
I suggest maybe this is naive, but the non-cynical answer maybe is put in lots of performances and hope that someone goes to see a Broadway show because they saw a performance.
Yes.
But again, I don't need to see the Jersey Boys ever again. I mean, they are wheeled out at every. I just don't need.
I agree.
I don't want to take away from your
has seen
time,
it.
but I would tell you and everyone at this table to go and Google the 1983 Tony Awards, because that, to me, was the epitome of how it should be done. And in my letter to Les Moonves, I said, go back and watch this Tony Awards. And we'll talk about that off. But everyone who's listening can go and do that, but we'll talk about that later.
To the Google. Go.
Yes.
You have homework.
All right. Now back to your book.
Yes.
What brought you to this book? The first book was
Inside Pee-wee's Playhouse, which
That's
looked
right.
at the.
That was the first one, and I know
yes.
the second one was
Christmas
Story.
Story.
So how did we get to this one?
Oh, I love Back to the Future, and I can actually say, maybe I'm wrong, there are 4 people at this table, but I don't know anyone who doesn't love Back to the Future.
Well, I know Annie almost
actually.
fell off of her chair.
I love it. Because we were talking about Back to the Future and Grease 2, my favorite
Yes,
movies.
that is very true. True story before we got
I
on.
am seeing.
And
is
you don't
gonna
always hear those 2
roll.
titles in the same sentence.
No.
I'm very eclectic. That's
Highest
why I'm here.
grossing film of 1985 and Grease 2. Remember that's the
Writer.
Yeah, but Back to the Future is one of those films that I think once it entered popular culture, once it debuted, it just was everywhere, and it's almost hard to imagine, without even just the phrase Back to the Future, which is paradoxical and makes no actual sense really as a title. But if you set up like a Google alert for the phrase Back to the Future, it comes up every single day on the internet. That phrase is used. Ronald Reagan, in his inaugural address the year after the film came out, used "Where We're Going, We Don't Need Roads" in his, and it's one of those things where you can't see a DeLorean without thinking about Back to the Future. The
Absolutely.
DeLorean was actually a car that was
A failure.
it was a failure, and not even in production at the time of the film's production.
Right.
It was already a defunct car. It was
Right.
a failed project, and that was part of the reason why they used it, that it was just sort of cool looking and kind of a funny footnote. And John DeLorean was going through his trial at the time. But it's one of those things where it's so hard to divorce so many. It has such iconography, skateboarding culture, hoverboarding culture.
Absolutely.
And the thing that's really great about Back to the Future this year is that we are in 2015, which is not only the 30th anniversary, but it's also the year that Marty goes to the future. That's the future in Back to the Future Part 2. They go to 2015. So if you watch those films,
Where's my hoverboard?
Exactly. That's what we're, hoverboard. But it's kind of funny to think about the things that the movie accurately predicted. They predicted sort of instant messaging or like email.
Really?
I mean, it's through fax
That's
machine,
right.
but they have this
Yeah.
idea of like that you can get a fax anywhere. Thumbprint identification being used
have
for
that
things,
now.
We
which
do.
we have. There was a gag in the first draft of the script where Huey Lewis and the News were being projected through hologram, and they were having a hologram performance, which we see
We
that
do
happen
anyway,
now.
yeah.
So it's sort of interesting to resurgence in 3D movie culture. So Back to the Future Part 2 got a lot of things right just by accident, but still no hoverboard. I would be horrible on a hoverboard. I'm very clumsy. I mean, they'd be cool to, like, Michael J. Fox looks good doing it, but I would be a hot mess on one of them.
Now, you interviewed a lot of the actors for this book.
Yes. I spoke with over 50 people that were involved with Back to the Future. most of them being filmmakers or actors. So I spoke with Robert Zemeckis, who's the director, his screenwriting partner and producer, Bob Gale. I spoke with Christopher Lloyd and Leah Thompson and Huey Lewis, actually. He was great. And just lots and lots of people from special effects, visual effects. And then I also spoke with some experts. So I spoke with Leonard Maltin, who was on Entertainment Tonight for a very long time and is from Teaneck, New Jersey.
I know that.
Which I didn't know either. We had a little chat about Teaneck. He used to go to the movie theater on the main street
Lane.
but not before that. There was a movie theater in Hackensack that he would go to and see films in my town. So,
That's so cool.
so we had a nice little chat about that. But a guy, Joe Magdalena, who was on a show called Hollywood Treasures. He's runs Profiles in History, which is an auction house out in LA or the California area. And so lots of experts sort of weighed in, and then I
and it's also getting
this.
some very nice reviews. You've been getting some really nice press about this, which I'm very happy to share that news.
Thank you. It makes me so nervous. I feel so stupid saying it, but it makes me, you, like you said, you work on something for a couple of years and you want it to be a good product, and then you release it, or you're getting ready to release it, and you hope that people enjoy it. So to have some people that I really admire weigh in and read the book and give me their blessing. Ernie Klein, who wrote Ready Player One, which is a really, really great novel, which is turning into a film that Steven Spielberg is directing, gave us a great comment that's on the book cover. Bob Gale read the book and gave us a great quote, and a guy named Mark Scott Zachary, who wrote The Twilight Zone Companion, which is a book that actually got me, was heavily influential in me writing these pop culture books. Loved the book. The guy that wrote the Jim Henson biography that came out a couple years ago, read it and loved it. So I'm unspeakably proud and can't wait for everyone else to read it on June 23rd when it comes out.
On June 3rd, and we're so lucky. And actually, we're going to be doing a giveaway.
Yes.
And if you comment on the Facebook page, some lucky person is going to get a copy of this book. In case, will you sign it for us?
Absolutely, of course.
Okay, good. Now, there's also, you're doing some book signings coming up, and anybody who's in who would like to meet you in person. So it's going to be June 27th, and you're going to be in Pennsylvania at that time.
Yes.
Am I correct?
I'll be at Ben Salem, Pennsylvania at the Neshimony Mall. It's if you're in the Philly area, it's about 20 minutes outside of Philly.
Okay. And then July 8th, Morristown Library.
That's in New Jersey, yep.
Yes, which Annie pointed out you were there for the Christmas Story book.
I love the people at the Morristown Library. They are so nice to me. And people at Barnes & Noble and Neshimony are very nice to me, too.
Morristown Library is beautiful.
It's great. I got so lost in there the first time I went. They took pity on me. I was just wandering around. I started looking at things. They were like, "Are you the guy on the flyer?" I'm like, yeah, I was just lost and figured I'll just live here now. But I love them.
And last but not least, July 9th at the Barnes & Noble in Paramus.
Yes, New Jersey also.
See, Anne and I may stalk you because that's local too.
Please do.
Stalk you that night.
And I have
Remember us?
Yes, I do. From Talk of the Town, I remember. The other thing I have to mention too is I'm actually going to London for the book. Isn't that insane?
Oh my God, are you serious?
Which is so cool. So July 17th through 19th. If you're listening internationally, this is saved and archived, so you could be listening at any time.
It's over stream live, so anybody can listen.
So I will be at the London Film and Comic-Con from July 17th through 19th. And if you are a Back to the Future fan, you probably already know, but there are a dozen Back to the Future actors that will be there as well. Wow. Michael J. Fox will be there,
fantastic.
Christopher Lloyd.
So, can I fit in your suitcase? Or?
Sure. Come on. The more the merrier.
I'm his plus one.
I was going to say, we'll sign you up as his. You have your first groupie.
Yeah, dude.
how
Yes.
exciting.
I'm never going to leave you.
Thanks. Do I get to meet Betty? Is it Betty?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, great. Wonderful.
You can meet Betty whenever you want.
Yes.
Now, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Is your next book on Grease 2?
Oh, God, please say yes.
Cool Rider, the unauthorized story of Grease 2. A Girl for All Seasons.
Yes.
The unauthorized.
Oh,
There's like 4 people that are getting
I
these
do
jokes.
have a legitimate question.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any book signings coming up in New York City?
It's funny with this. The short answer is I don't. I mean, you can tell the answer is I don't.
Okay.
But I'm possibly. I'm traveling like a little bit with this. I'm going to Chicago towards the end of the summer. I'm going to be in Europe. I mean, I'm going for the Comic-Con and then I'm staying, for a little bit. And so it's a little bit of a scheduling. It's a scheduling thing. Trying to be in New York. Love to be in New York. I've been in New York for the other one, so like to make that happen. But if you keep up with me on Facebook or Twitter, I'm at Caseen Gaines. That's CASEENGAINES. And Facebook, you can keep up with the book at facebook.com/We Don't Need Roads book, and that'll link you in. So if things pop up, I'll be there. And in October, sorry, I'm just like rattling things off now.
Please do.
In October, there's a huge Back to the Future convention. It's called We're Going Back. If you go to we'regoingback.com, you can get all information, but I'll be there as well. That's October, I think, 20th through 26th or something
And
like that.
where is that?
That's in LA. That's
Okay,
in
so you'll be
California.
out in LA.
Yeah, in October.
Can I ask a question? How long did it take you to write the book, and what was your process in terms of writing the book? And did you time everything to come out in 2015?
Oh, there are no accidents in the universe. It was timed for 2015 for sure. The book, I started working on this actually before the Christmas Story book was out. And then we got the deal for this because it's me, my agent. It's a party, it's a team. So we got the deal for this in July. I remember it so vividly. I was like, these things with book deals, you never know if they're going to come through, and blah blah blah. That's how the sauce gets made. But yeah, ultimately, didn't know what was going to end up happening. And I was sitting on the beach and got a phone call, like staring out at the ocean. It was like out of a movie, and got the phone call that Plume was going to pick up the book and that we were going to do it, and I was so excited. So it took probably about a year and a half. The weird thing about this book is it was supposed to come out in September, and then we moved it up so that we can sort of catch more of 2015. And that doesn't sound like a big change, but it's a huge change. And like the best way that I can sort of describe it is it was one of those things where I could sort of write like, 5 pages a day and sort of go like, my deadline became truncated by almost that amount of time, I don't know if people realize, but when you, at least with a nonfiction book, it's different completely with fiction, but with a nonfiction book, you write a proposal and then they give you a date far in the future, and they say, it reminds me of like there's this Little Rascals episode where like Alfalfa is bound by this contract, and then like it's 30 years later he's still singing for this guy, and so
Life.
I didn't want to look at you.
we have the contract. So that date, you put that date like on like a corkboard, and you know it's so far away. It's usually like a year or so in the future, and so what ended up happening was like 2 or 3 months gets shaved from that so that you can make the earlier date. And I'm game, I was game to do it. But it became one of these things where I'm, feverishly typing and just going crazy. And there's a Starbucks that I probably have a well-worn-in seat where I just lived
They
for a
kept
couple
your
of
name on
days.
it.
Yeah. But
plaque in
yeah,
your
but
honor.
it's people ask sometimes, what's the best way to combat writer's block, and the answer is like a deadline and a contract.
There you go.
That's pretty much
You know
it.
what? I have
moves
to agree
you.
with you. Yes. Now I know this is probably way premature, but is there another thought in the future?
Oh, Lisa. No, I mean, there's always myriad things that I'm interested in.
Okay.
Who knows? The goal is always that this book or any book does well enough.
I believe this
for
is,
the next, for me to be able to play and do another one if I want to. So, if you like it, then support and go out and leave nice comments on Amazon and do all that good stuff.
And can we get this on Amazon?
You can get this everywhere books are sold. Like everywhere books are sold, and even some places that books aren't. Like you can probably go to like a comic book shop, maybe. Even and
Really?
pick this up. It's Amazon, Barnes and Noble, IndieBound, Books A Million. It's on BackToTheFuture.com. That's the official Back to the Future site. You can pick it up there. It's my website is CaseenGaines.com. You can pick it up there. It's June 23rd. If some place doesn't have it and they sell books, then you need to let them know they need to get it because they can.
That or get in touch with you or get in touch with our show,
Yes.
and we will make sure that it's gotten to you or gotten to them, whoever. So, all right, that is awesome, and best of luck. With
Thank
this
you.
One.
I
think
appreciate
that,
it.
I think this is going to really go out of the ballpark, my friend.
Oh, I appreciate
really
it
do
so
think
much.
so. But believe it or not, our time has flown by.
It went too
I know.
quick.
We've talked.
Yeah.
Talk of the town.
Yes,
And it happens to be 2018 here. We've gone back to the future.
It went too fast.
Well, you know what? That's what's so nice about our show is that those who are listening, please know that we truly enjoy talking
Yes.
to one another, and the people that we have on are all just top-notch guests. I have to say, we talk off the air, and we talk off the air, Richard and I, and we said we really have had just really top-notch, stellar
We're
people.
very blessed.
Very.
And our favorite words are like,
Yeah.
and share.
And share on Facebook. Absolutely. So, our next show, second Wednesday of every month, and it will be July 8th next time we're on. Stay tuned to Facebook and find out who our next guest is. In the meantime, from broadbandboxoffice.com, this is Talk of the Town. I am Lisa Dascoli. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you.
Case, thank you so much for being
Thank you
our
for
guest
having
again.
me on. I really appreciate it.
And our honor and our pleasure. Richard Skipper, as always, I adore you. And we'll see you soon.
Hello, this is Dr. Barry Prstowski. I invite you to watch Courageous Doctors, an exciting new show on Broadband Box Office about how healthcare is affecting you today.
Hi, I'm Randy Lupo, host of The Randy Lupo Show on Broadband Box Office. Wait, is that a tongue twister or an alliteration? Come meet my favorite people, comedians, actors, writers, spiritual people, and everyone in between. I'm looking forward to seeing you.